In Activity 10, comparing non-standard and standard units of measure, students observe and discuss the disadvantages of using non-standard units of measure, such as spoons and paper clips. Students are then introduced to standard units of measure as shown on a growth chart. From the kit, you will need Activity Sheet 10, growth chart from Activity 8, and plastic spoons. You will also need to provide spoon ruler from Activity 9, class height chart from Activity 8, and assorted sized spoons. To prepare for the activity, make a copy of Activity Sheet 10 for each student. Collect spoons of various sizes, such as measuring spoons, a soup spoon, a serving spoon, and a wooden stirring spoon. You will use these in the activity to demonstrate the problem of inconsistency when using non-standard units of measure that vary in size. To begin the activity, gather the students around the class height chart on the wall and review what it shows. Remind students that in the last activity, they made measuring tools called spoon rulers for measuring length in spoon units, and display one of the spoon rulers. Distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 10 to each student and explain that in this activity, they will use the spoon rulers they made to measure their heights. Ask students to predict their heights in spoons and to record their predictions on their activity sheets. Emphasize to the class that this is a prediction, not a guess, because they have had prior experience with spoon measurements. Next, invite one student to find his or her adding machine tape segment on class height chart. Hold the spoon ruler against the wall, on or next to the student's adding machine tape, with the 0 point on the floor. Help the student use the ruler to measure his or her height in spoon lengths. Show students how to read the ruler, matching the top of the adding machine tape to the nearest number on the ruler. If the student's height tape is longer than the spoon ruler, help the class express and solve the problem. Students may suggest borrowing another team's ruler and placing it above the first, or holding up additional spoons to extend the ruler. Next, distribute a spoon ruler to each team. Have students follow the procedure you modeled and use their spoon rulers to measure their adding machine tape strips and to record their actual heights on their activity sheets. Have students compare the accuracy of their predictions with their measured heights. When the class is finished, have each student report his or her height in spoons. I'm a blank spoons tall. Next, show the class the spoons you collected. Ask the class, what do you observe about these spoons? Students should observe that the spoons are all different sizes. Point out that a person in another class or school who is 8 spoons tall could have been measured in little spoons, medium spoons, or big spoons. Therefore, we don't know how tall he or she really is. Ask students, can anyone think of a better way to measure objects so that we can compare how long, wide, or tall they are? Students should understand that a better way to measure objects would be for everyone, everywhere, to agree to use the same size unit to mark off their rulers, as we did in our classroom. Guide students to understand that a standard unit is a measure that all people agree will always have the same size and name. Point out that the growth chart posted next to the class height chart has 2 scales of units that are standard units. The growth chart has both metric and customary units. Use only one of these scales as you explore standard units of measure. Using metric units, introduce the word centimeter and tell students that each line on the left edge of the growth chart stands for 1 centimeter. Next, ask students how tall the different animals on the growth chart are in centimeters. Students should read the heights in centimeters of all 6 animals on the growth chart and record them on their activity sheets. Help students recognize that they have now used a measuring tool with standard units to measure height. Ask the class, why would we want to measure with standard units instead of non-standard units? Students should realize that the reason we use standard units is so that we can all understand our measurements when we share information. Explain to the class that standard units are used by people all over the world so that we can all understand when others describe how tall a squirrel, cat, dog, or person is. To conclude the activity, peel off the transparent tape and wipe the markings from the meter sticks with a damp cloth or paper towel. Return the blank meter sticks and extra plastic spoons to the kit. Leave the class height chart and growth chart in place. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science readers, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.